Welcome back to the Wall Street Podcast.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into some analysis from this month's The Economist. It just came out, September 2025.
Right. And we're looking at three sort of interconnected areas impacting the market.
Exactly. We've got the escalating, really, war for talent in AI and finance. Then there's U.S. Treasury moves in Latin America, risk mitigation there.
And finally, some pretty notable shifts in U.S. domestic regulatory policies. Enforcement, too.
Okay, so let's start with that talent piece, because that's where a lot of the money's flowing, right? The analysis basically confirms what many suspected. Innovation is incredibly concentrated. Think about this. The top 1% of researchers, they're generating over a fifth of all citations.
Wow. And that concentration, it translates into, well, just astounding pay package.
It really does. We're talking 7, even 9-figure salaries for certain programmers, certain traders. It's fueling what the piece calls the craziest talent war. AI labs, Wall Street hedge funds.
They're all fighting for the same few people.
Precisely. But this whole market frenzy, it runs headlong into a major policy shift.
You mean the H-1B proposal?
Yeah, the administration is proposing a $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, which is just a massive leap from the current, what, $2,500?
A huge leap.
Yeah.
And it's already causing, well, let's say, significant confusion, anxiety, among big tech firms like Amazon, Microsoft.
Understandably.
Yeah.
And based on what happened back in 2004 with previous restrictions, the forecast is pretty clear.
It's expected to speed up offshoring of R&D jobs.
That's the prediction.
Yeah.
It kind of directly undermines efforts to keep that innovation domestic.
Okay, so that instability in talent flow, how does that connect to what's happening in Argentina?
Well, it's all part of this broader theme of managing global risk and flows. The U.S. Treasury just announced they're negotiating a $20 billion swap line with Argentina's central bank.
And they're ready to buy Argentine USD bonds, too, I saw.
Correct. But the framing here is key. It's explicitly not a bailout.
They're calling it a bridge to the election.
Exactly. It's support for the libertarian president, Javier Milei. He's politically vulnerable, and his whole economic experiment really depends on keeping the peso strong.
Okay, let's dig into that H-1B fee a bit more. $100,000. It feels almost punitive. Is there solid evidence that a fee, just the fee itself, is enough to make companies shift global R&D?
Well, the research cited suggests a pretty strong link. After those past restrictions went into effect, firms that relied heavily on H-1Bs, they increased their employment overseas by about a quarter.
25%, huh?
Yeah. So this new fee, being so much larger, it just creates a very powerful financial incentive for multinationals to expand their global capability centers. Think R&D hubs, often in places like India, doing increasingly complex work.
Right, it makes financial sense then. Okay, turning to Argentina. Beyond just general stability, this intervention feels very targeted. It sounds like the U.S. is specifically propping up Milei. What does that tell us about the administration's priorities?
It really reveals a focus on, let's say, preventing a political reversal in a key country. The move seems driven by immediate market pressure, the peso's wild swings.
Sure.
And also a strategic fear. A fear that if Milei fails before the election, Argentina could snap back to, well, fiscally irresponsible governance. So the U.S. is essentially underwriting political confidence, buying time.
Buying political time. Interesting. Okay, let's bring it home. Domestically, the details around the Tom Homan investigation. I mean, $50,000 cash, allegedly in a fast food bag, to influence future contracts.
It's startling, isn't it?
It sounds completely unreal. What's the significance of the Justice Department even considering a bribery conspiracy case against a former border czar?
Well, look, that specific, almost cinematic detail, it really underscores a worrying trend the analysis highlights, which is the fading effectiveness of our post-Watergate anti-corruption controls.
They're just not working as intended anymore.
It seems, especially when dealing with high-level figures, the guardrails put in place decades ago aren't preventing or deterring really quite egregious conduct. That's the concern.
So when you put it all together, these huge salaries, pulling talent globally, specific interventions in sovereign debt, these domestic enforcement questions, it all creates tangible impacts for you, the listener.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It affects job market competitiveness, the stability of financial systems we all rely on. The real takeaway here, I think, is this intersection of extreme talent concentration and political volatility.
Yeah.
What's truly fascinating is how this massive premium paid to a tiny number of individuals in AI and finance is now a strategic geopolitical issue. It's forcing governments to step in, not just with immigration policy, but with direct financial interventions.
So looking ahead, What's the immediate takeaway? Here's a thought to consider. In an economy where so much innovation seems driven by this very scarce elite, can any policy like that huge H-1B fee really counteract the magnetic pull of a nine-figure private market salary?
Can policy win against that kind of mind?
That's definitely something worth mulling over.